afternoon, everyone. I'm Lakadra Leo from the MA program in English Literary Studies. Now, please let me introduce our second poet, Nicholas Wong. You may find his bio in our booklet. He has been an old friend of our poetry courses, and I believe many of our students here know him well. Yes, his compelling capture of the dilemma faced by queer people and in-depth exploration of Asian queers' identities earned him the Lambda Literary Award in gay poetry. He's also the first Asian poet to clinch the prestigious Peter Porter Poetry Prize. In addition to bringing Hong Kong poetry to the international stage, he contributes to establishing Hong Kong's literary community as a faculty member at the Education University of Hong Kong and the founder of an online creative writing platform, Writing Plus. Now, please warmly welcome our gracious poet, Nicholas Wong.
Thank you for organizing this event in Hong Kong, so I thought that I don't have to travel around. Friends coming to me instead. It's heartwarming to see people I knew many years ago and names I've heard and learned from these years. Thank you, Lawrence, as well, for inviting me to read with him in his work. I felt like Lindsay Lohan in Mean Girls, a lot of yeah and like. In my session, I will also invite Lawrence to read part of the work as well. I want my session to be a flow, so I'm going to make the acknowledgement now so that I don't actually interrupt the pieces. Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to read a number of fragments and sections from older works and mix them with newer work. And in between two translated poems, I translated my Taiwanese friend Sun Jiping, Sun Jiping's poems from the Taiwanese Mandarin. So you will hear two translated poems. And language from this pile includes Mark Doherty, a reference to Xia Yu, Taiwanese female poet that I like a lot. Ellen Cowperall, American performance artist. Sessions. There are sessions that actually come from my recent erasure of Andrew Holleran's Grief. And they're in sonnets. Anything else? There's a line from Frances Ponge. And if time allows, if I have a time to go to the last poem, it would be a found poem containing language from a book on Ed Ruscha, the artist, the American artist. And the poem's title is called Crude Ash, which is an anagram of the name Ed Ruscha. Okay. I should have started the timer. To fragment is to steadily lay down what memory allows, fragmenting as drilling, attempting to reknow, fragments get things done. I have problems sleeping. A kiss is not a way to focus. Dark eye circles. After Choi Ming learns, I don't want to sleep alone in 2007. Can't sleep because someone's sleeping. Like a plant, sleep, irrigated with music, seeds grown into desire, recline, wait to be washed. Don't speak, stay speechless like the homeless, as a scorching street corner, the one to touch someone significant. Late at night, taken to a home, sleep like strangers do, sleep to be strangers.
Bathrooms, humid as always, we too. What about kissing while coughing? Kissing goes on in the haze, coughing goes on.
Or ask someone to join. Lie down between someone's. The haze unveils your face until it's time, until full of sewage. But no room to stand, so move into a shadow, hoping someone would whisper words in darkness.
What about living the days while staying speechless? Touching goes on in the haze, hug someone redundant. Our disposal of love, massive, enough to drift like a bed of stories.
Insomnia, after Tracy Emin. Outside, 1,000-fold daytime colors pressed into the dark. All hands by now should be clasped in warmth between chest and duvet. And that kind of skin I envy, so well rested as if it would never again need to present itself to trust. A strange clinkiness visits footages of past loves, insufficiently subtitled, a mockumentary. Once giving a blowjob, I imagined the trunk balls were two taxied Louboutins of electric red. Not knowing how to peel them, I walked away. I wish I could explain love like a sad academic expounding openings as a method. And as a word, methoculum is underrated. If my chapped lips regime gives 2 punch holes a day, your cheeks will look like sweet cheese. Draw the coastline of your least favorite country, followed by the jawline of the one who last entered you like a museum. Then repeat. Because repetition made you happy. Ditto being repeated to. Ditto getting so close but no one in sight. The city and I maneuver at the door.
Both reaching to open it saying, "Excuse me," passing through together saying, "Excuse me." Both reaching to close it saying, "Excuse me." Backing in reverse to the door, both reaching to open it saying, "After you." Passing through together, both reaching to close it saying, "After you." Locating 4 more doors and repeating, "Still another door."
The city seemed to know who lived alone at every conceivable level. You looked for a space to reinvent life, to return to a better being. Some people spawned on emptiness. At night, the pleasure to imagine the perfect city cast a strange light. I was scalloped. I followed the pigeons. My deepest sorrow was expensive in April. A room weeping was used for storage because it's cheaper to ignore exhibitionism. Living in an open sea of idealism. Decrepitude, part envy in a wishful way. Gay life couldn't teach you that. I just knew the future was an 18th century. Imagine this home that is lessened, moves on without signs of lives, such as choices, autonomy, hairs. Weeks ago, my mother cried over a loneliness, over her hunch that my father, in his mid-70s, was seeing someone else. It's someone from work, she said. Her sorrow so raw that I didn't know how to react. I shut my room door. Our home is small, like Mercy's. Soft advice. The view by your bed hinges, erects, presents itself as a sane project. When you masturbate, do you do it to sanity or to what that's left out that's called people? So many of them have talked to you, and a few sustainably. They gift-wrapped their own wreckage and gave it to you as soft advice. Advice like, think of yourself as a cast iron mirror, and say you live until age 83, at which point in life will you polish yourself? Advice like reflections matter not because realism matters not. Love everyone, not pretty, not young, not smooth, who looks like a historical ceramic mug. And be genuine, don't have plastic surgery. When the apocalypse dawns, fake things will be actioned first. Should you find yourself alone in bed, identify yourself either as a spacist or an escapist. Put on all the clothes you are clueless about where they came from and to hide. There's a reason why it's called an apartment. It's fine to live with your family and not talking to them. They don't want to talk to you either, busy finishing a degree in aging coping strategies. They wrote essays with artifacts, but were caught plagiarizing each other. And no surprise, your photos made those artifacts, together with trashed childhood toys that your mom rescued, because Capricorn is such a famous sign among restorists. By now, you should know stuffed animals are a sign of anticipation, internalized. Time doesn't stop, the clock does. Have a cock in your mouth. It doesn't mean you are indiscreet. Feel your ex's single-worded texts, read between the lines, and the unsaid seemed to gangle towards a non-meaning back in the day. It's all right to find peace, equally so to burn it down. Spring sometimes curdles like expired tofu. The worst when something drifts away isn't that it does, but knowing it's you who tilted a surface by not saying I love you. Some people love like they believe in the romantic folklore about the moon, but they love too literally from inside a spacesuit. Or they love to feel like a shell put back onto the sand. They love the shorelines without loving to trudge back up to heartland. They love sleeping over. In the dark, they love grazing my chest. They love grazing my chest with defeat. Imagine the vibe in bed. They're blind puppies when we fuck. They wriggle around to find an available nipple to nurse. They love dirty talk. They love asking for permission to lash out. They love doing it when I moan. They love to hear sure. They love me as much as they love the spasms inside electric tanker cups. They love bathing me afterwards. It's pretty, they know. Their terror lathering along my calves, so tangible and white. I shut my room door. Our home is small like Mercy's. I heard the doorbell. I opened my door. You could call it reparation. Spring, a mix of invalid, like the past, verbalize, on bereavement, like a wall. This thick horn turned 3 books into the outline of this city. I heard you could. Spring, the interior of modes, his chest a small mix of antiques and empty, a non-life and invalid. Mother had always asked me to like an old room, find something one day for the past. Pleasure so confusing, used to verbalize fluid. In shock. The quiet was flying on bereavement. Let go realists. Facts looked like peanut butter. Town cornets in gloom, a wall against another wall as kitsch. This thick horn raised on youth. A tome turned 3 books into a skylight. The outline of the city was mostly defeat. I heard the doorbell. I opened my door. You could call it reparation. A swelling where? A nursing home strangely said grief was useless, a luxury. I watched grief swallow chemicals to devastate its autobiography, its bipolar forehead. People became their past when life had just begun. An early instinct told me not to worry. True feelings made an amber glow. He camouflaged. I could tell he liked history. Torn every day now to distract myself, thousands of feet. walls swaying in time. A mother was an argument without anesthetic. A gay bar was a narrow return to guilt. To live inside people, people, people. George, Lincoln, Grant. Pattern mattered more than names. Happiness is very hard.
Are you serious?
If pain secretly visits and sleeps over in a zigzagging night, the body, like a habit-driven curve, will become bitter and stiff at the right time, or it will try to lie flat like a map. Everyone can edge forward, eyes closed.
Not saying a word.
Solitude looks for the commanding height of the third castle in a forest. Morality and its reverse refuse to be folded. Happiness is very hard.
Are you serious?
The teeth are as stubborn as the weather. A plane hastily crushes the clouds. Feelings gently peel off and become pictograms in private. The spine is an unrehearsed sentence pattern. The ear secretly delivers someone's echo and a round of conclusive applause. One or two kinds of worries have yet been shouted out.
Say it again.
One or two kinds of worries have yet been shouted out.
Say it again.
Your dreams are apocryphal, ex-lovers, partly narrative, partly fiber clumps. They all have a joyful unevenness in their smile. You will learn to merge with the stew in a bar because no one will ask you to keep the night rolling between the sheets unwashed from motion. Clarity stopped long ago. If you can't be music of your own ears, be a pair of noise-canceling headphones. Be 1.5 pairs. I'm sure a gift is also a hug. It doesn't matter who gives it to you. On International Day of Looking Inward, all hearts are stirring, and everyone looks inward wheezily with a hearing aid. I'm not a cheerful person. I can't remember a line from comedy shows. And grief is so irksome enough to make me shatter. It's hard to tell the millennials that adulting is like horizontally yours and a narrow well's bottom. My body melted, then seeped through the cracks, not knowing the ego was very large. I didn't choose to be Gen X, nor could I name Gen X Gen X. Anything miserably doomed had to be said thrice. Crew dash. A painting of wordless paintings, a bedside of cannot say more. Milk in its simplicity, a motif for some time. A childhood of wordplay, a fascination with shading, an interest in waste, an apprehension of almost beautiful, a floor washing over. A change in the clouds, a wheat field of hearts falling. A landscape of decline, a backdrop of anonymity. An eye of high and low, a puddle of noise and return, a precise corrosion of perhaps, a tongue in a skeletal car, a rhetoric of randomly placed saliva, demands of fluid speak, a softening of focus, a ruination of old blue eyes, a reality of no apparent scale, a sprawling of no here, an escape route that is frozen forever. A phenomenon of sharing a bed, a theme, an eagerness, a lack of humble jokes, a however, a however of things, a hope for gorgeous insults, an arrival of sky-like hues, a renewal of everyday life, an exhaustion of snow-capped summits, a neurotic anxiety in flames, a coincidence of seemingly on fire, a human talk in rare luck, a study group about a satellite or minor god, a strategy of diffusion, a fiction of eternal metaphors, a history of no sleep, a remark of the twilight sky, an insect in split-second descent, a profession of making signs, then abstracting them, an advanced study of one carrot, a study without having to force, a county of lights, a church in the most literal sense, a mouth of austere usual grace, a reference to blandness, a murder with strokeless fragments, a phrase of begging context, a curiosity in clumsiness of a piece of blank paper, a way of exploring remains, a full surface of surplus, untranslatable doubts of anecdotes, a lawful logic, a lawful logic of a rear view mirror, a city of there is us, a human nature of anything to lose. Thank you.